Good morning, my name is Jacob Folger. I'm an artist sculptor, and today we're going to make a tree on this rock. And I actually found this rock and I was like, wow, that's a cool rock. So I thought I should do a video on how to make a tree with it. First thing we're going to do is seal it with acrylic. And I'll put the name of this product in the video description down below the video. It will be in the tool and supply list there. And also there will be baking instructions for the tree and anything else that might be important for you to have for this video. So I just want to paint one coat on and just get a good coat on there. You can see the coloring and the lines and the striations are just really neat on this stone. And then when you're done, you definitely want to clean your brush and water. I have water off to the side here. And clean your hands as well if you get any on them. And we're going to be using Polymer clay, Sculpey 3 brand. I'm using black because I like the way the finishes look on it. And I've already done the conditioning off before I started the filming. So, but you want to make sure it's good, well and kneaded and conditioned really well. I'm just slide this out of the way here. And then you want to roll your clay into a ball to start off with, and roll it until all the crevices and cracks are out of it. See that? We'll roll it until it's not there anymore. It just gives us a nice smooth surface to work with on the clay, like that. Roll it to and fro like this. We're starting the tree stalk or trunk, and we want to roll it a slight cone shape. And then we can take our fingers like this and pressing with our thumb on the bottom and our finger going up the trunk like that. We'll just squeeze, and that'll sort of flatten out the bottom a little bit. Like that. It should look like that. And I'm going to roll it a little bit more, make it a little bit taller. So it's like that. And now I'm going to take just a regular pair of scissors. And I often start the roots of my trees this way. And just make a cut. 2 cuts. And this is for the roots. And then just sort of tease them out from each other. Like that. And then form them into little points. Now the rock will be drying, and it's drying now, and it will probably be dry by the time we're ready to use it. The acrylic dries very quickly. Taking a tool like shape similar to that there, I'm going to just, there's some cut marks from the scissors down in there, and I just want to smooth those out a little bit. There we go, it's a little bit better. Now I'm going to do the same thing at the top. I'm going to do 2 cuts and this is for the beginning of the branches of the tree. tease them out and form them into little points. And then I'm going to take my sculpting tool again and just smooth it off in the inside there. It'll just make it a little bit stronger by doing that. Okay. I'm just going to form these roots, make them a little bit longer. Now I'm going to take some Sculpey Bacon Bond, and this will just help the bond to the stone be a lot stronger. And squeeze out a little bit. There we go. Bring our rock forward here, and I'm going to look at this and just see what side I want, or what orientation I want for the roots. And I want it sitting center on the stone in this case. So I'm going to just set it there, make sure it's center, and then press it down. And then I'm pressing the roots into the stone. Now what I usually do is, if the glue comes out like that, I'll just kind of clean it off with the sculpting tool. But then if it's still showing, I'll take my sculpting tool and I'll grab a little bit of the clay and just fill it in, kind of cover it up, cover the glue up so it doesn't show, because that glue is white and it will dry white, same as here. I'm just I have a rag in my lap and I'm just cleaning the tool off in my lap as I go. And then I check all the sides to see if it's okay. Now, with my trees, I don't like them standing jacked up straight and tall like that. I mean, that might be up to you. You might decide that you would like that. But for me, I like my trees to be kind of look like they're moving a little bit, give them some artistic form. So oftentimes, if you've seen me make trees, what I'll do is I'll lean the tree over. I'm kind of pushing down and to the side, that way it's not coming loose from the stone. And then holding my hands like this on the side, I'll push the tree back. And then just sort of smooth it out. Just make sure that that's a nice smooth line there. Then you decide what kind of texture you want. Some people like no texture. Other people might like deep lines or deep carves into it. Or you might want to do something softer. I think we'll do a mixture of that. So I picked the stone up. I got a little bit of glue here too. Let me go ahead and take care of that. There we go. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with some soft lines. And that's just with the back of this tool here. And just starting at the bottom, I'm just sliding the tool up the trunk of the tree to the top. But you see, there are nice even strokes from the bottom to the top. And I am paying attention to what I'm doing. I'm not just scratching at it. Now sometimes when you're doing this, it will leave little hairs or from the clay kind of coming off the tool on the tree, you can just sort of press them with your thumb to get them to lay back down. Just take my time, go around. If this is new to you, you know, definitely just be patient with yourself. And I recommend practicing a lot, getting used to using your hands and the tools. And if you need to take a break, walk away and just take a break for a little while. Now I think what I want to do is I want to put some deeper lines in with the sharper end of this tool. More kind of random. I just think it will add dimension to the bark of the tree, and that's basically what we're doing, is we're making the bark of the tree at this point. So and this will give it really kind of a nice look once we get the finish on there. We're going to be doing a full bronze finish on it with Pearl-X pigments. It's going to look really nice. Yeah, that looks pretty good like that. Now, sometimes I add a lot of roots to the base of the tree. but this stone is amazing, and I want to bring it up close so you can see it. It's got all these beautiful markings in it, and I really don't want to obscure those markings. I want to leave it fairly simple as far as the tree roots go. So, and so now we want to prepare the top for moss, a moss top, and we're going to do a preserved moss top on it. And so to hold the moss to the tree, I use wire, and I'm going to show you how that works. Okay, so what I do is I take a piece of, this is 20 gauge wire, and I take a piece that is as long as my finger, like that. And I'll take some regular cutters, wire cutters, and cut off a section. Then I'll use that same section that I just cut off to measure out 2 more. Now you can also use a heavier gauge wire. The only thing is when you're putting the moss on, you have to watch out not to stab yourself with it. So what I usually do, just to keep things safe and keep this the wire strong at the same time, I'll bend the wire, and then also that helps if I'm going to glue the moss to the top, and I oftentimes do that so I don't have to worry about it. But you see, if it's doubled up, and when you put glue in it, it gets in that groove in there, and it holds the moss a lot better. So it's actually a bunch of reasons why it's good to use the smaller gauge wire, 20 gauge wire, and bend it like that. And I'll show you how this is going to work. Bring this forward, and so you just take the wire and stick it into the trunk of the tree, the top of the trunk. So it's sticking out about 1/4 to 1/2 inch above the highest branch. And they should be kind of spread out from each other, so they're not like right up against each other, the pieces of wire. So like that. Okay, now we're going to put a finish on the tree, and what I'm using here is Pearl X Pigments Antique Bronze. It's one of my favorite finishes that they make, and this is actually a new bottle here. So I'm going to use my little sculpting tool here, and I'll just scoop out a little bit. There we go. I don't need quite that much. I use it all the time on all kinds of sculptures. I wipe the tool off on my rag in my lap, and what I do is I dip my finger in it like that, and then I swirl it with my thumb, and that kind of gets it more subdued. And then I just basically go over the tree and highlight it. You can see how that looks. It's really pretty, and if you put it on the way I'm putting it on, it's really kind of an antique-y finish. And what you can do is, once you've started to run out what's on your finger, you can wipe your thumb against your finger again, and that will give you some more finish on your finger. But you'll notice I swirl my finger all the time when I dip it, because I mean every time I do, because you want it to be subdued, or it'll go on really bright. Now you can take this material, the Pearlite's Pigments, and you can use a paintbrush and you can make this bright gold if you want. If you want it to look antique like finish, this is how I do it. It's just very pretty. And you know, with the stone being that kind of gray, mottled gray finish, it really looks quite nice. Now, if you look in the video description down below the video, there is instructions on how to bake the tree. Now, one thing you should know is that the oven will not likely get hot enough to damage the stone, so don't worry about that. But follow those instructions for baking Sculpey 3 brand polymer clay in the video description, and then then we'll come back. Okay, I've got our tree out of the oven, and we need to make a moss top for it, so I'm going to be using Reindeer Moss, and I'll put a source for this in the video description down below the video in the tool and supply list. And so I'll show you how I do this. I'm using Elmer's Craft Bond, but you can also use you know, just straight Elmer's wood glue. Works great. And I open it up and take a small paintbrush like this and dip it in, and then I'll take a piece of moss. Now when you order your moss, you might get chunks. You probably will get chunks big enough to do a top by itself without doing any gluing, but I just want to show you this in case you have to glue it. So I'll get some glue on there like that, and then I'll take another piece and hold it to it like that, and just build it to the size I want. Then I'm going to squeeze it with my hands like this. And then what I do is I take a lid, like this is actually a coffee lid, coffee jar lid, and it's about 3 inches in diameter, and you can see how tall it is there. And I put it in to act as a clamp to hold it all together. And I just leave that like that for a few minutes, maybe 10 minutes or so. And what you can do is you can set it down like this, upside down, and put something on top of it to hold it. And I don't recommend leaving it for a long period of time, because it will really compress the moss, and I wouldn't do that, because you want the moss top to be somewhat fluffy. And so you would leave this like that for about 10 minutes and then remove it and take it out of the lid, and just let it sit on its own. So that's kind of how I do that. This is one that I've already done. It still has to be trimmed. I do recommend cleaning your brush in water. I've got water off to the side here, and I'm just getting it cleaned off in there. Just give me a second to do that. There we go. And then put the lid on your glue tight. Now this one's been drying for maybe an hour or so. So then I just trim it. Like this. So I'm trying to make it basically a round shape. And when I trim it, you notice I do it at an angle here, so it makes it kind of rounded on the edges, which is a more natural look. And then just trimming away, and then I also will trim the top of it. Like that, and then I'll trim the bottom as well. And then it should look something like that. Let's see, a little bit more on the edge there. And so it looks a little bit like that. And then I put it on the top of the tree. Now you want to make sure, I did put these instructions in the baking instructions, that you want this to all be very cool, and the stone will take a lot longer to cool than the tree. So don't just grab the tree and say, oh, it's cool, because the rock will probably be very very hot still. And then I just put it on the top of the pins and press it down. And when I shaped the tree, I actually shaped it so that the moss sits at tilted, because I think it looks a lot more natural and cool that way. And then I'll just go around and see if there's any other parts that need to be trimmed. You know, after I put the top on. And this orientation of this camera can't get up underneath, but you can see the branches up there going up and also holding the moss. So that's what it looks like. And I think it's a really cool looking tree. But I also want to stress that, you know, when you're making a tree, to try to make it leaning kind of like that, because it just really adds to the natural quality of the tree. And that is how you make a tree on a stone with polymer clay and a stone and reindeer moss. If you like this kind of content, please subscribe to my channel. I make many videos along these lines. Please give the video a thumbs up and leave me a comment or question in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Be creative. Have fun in your life. Bye-bye.